Hi, it's Matt from MusicRadar here, and we are here in sunny Berlin at Superbooth 2024, Europe's biggest trade show for music technology. There's tons going on at the show this year, but the main reason we're here is to check out a load of new products from a long list of brands that includes everyone from big hitters like Oberheim and Elektron all the way through to small boutique and independent manufacturers. The sun is shining, the show is in full swing, so without further ado, let's go inside and go take a look at some gear. Elektron Digitakt is one of the most popular samplers in the world. You can't spend 10 minutes on YouTube or Instagram these days without bumping into one of these bad boys next to some kind of cactus arrangement. And while Elektron announced the successor to the Digitakt a couple of weeks ago, Superbooth 2024 has been our first chance to get hands-on with the instrument. Digitakt II looks pretty much the same as the original, but there's plenty more going on under the hood. It's doubled the track count of the original from 8 to 16, expanded the sequencer from 64 to 128 steps. And that's not all. It's also introduced stereo sampling, something that the original arguably should have offered in the first place. Giving Digitakt a run around today, we found ourselves getting deep into modulation of all kinds, checking out the new chorus effect and the extra LFO that's now available per track. These are both welcome additions that make this already lovable instrument that little bit easier to love. Though it lacks features some users were hoping for, such as individual audio outs and polyphonic support, Digitakt II is a substantial update that should please fans of the original, while offering those thinking about making the jump something a bit more persuasive. Arturia's PolyBrute 12 is an update to the French brand's flagship polysynth, and like its predecessor, it combines analog oscillators and filters with digitally controlled modulation and effects. PolyBrute 12 sound engine is multi-timbral and morphable, so you're able to split sounds across the keyboard, layer different timbres, and even seamlessly morph between two independent synth patches. We love the original PolyBrute for its ability to create complex, layered, and evolving sounds, but this meant that we could quickly use up its 6 voices. PolyBrute 12 fixes this problem by doubling the voice count, while adding a genuinely unique take on polyphonic aftertouch that Arturia are calling Full Touch. At £4,000, PolyBrute 12 doesn't come cheap. This price puts it in the same bracket as some genuinely incredible synths. In action though, we feel like PolyBrute 12 really holds its own. This is a truly versatile instrument capable of complex sound design and simple bread and butter patches. It handles both with ease. The new Full Touch technology feels great, and controlling the synth's filters and envelopes using polyphonic aftertouch gave us one of the most expressive playing experiences we've ever had on any synth. Polyend Tracker was released in 2020, and while its numerical software tracker style interface certainly isn't for everyone, it's earned a devoted following that will surely be delighted that Polyend has revealed Tracker Plus this year at Superbooth, an updated version of this hybrid synth and sampler. Tracker Plus really is a beefy upgrade, bringing 5 new synth engines alongside audio over USB, an expanded sequencer and improved hardware. We've got 4 new synth engines that cover plenty of sonic bases, including a 303 style monosynth and a 2-operator FM synth with wavetable based oscillators. And there's even a new drum synthesis engine on board too. We're happy to report that the new synth engines sound fantastic, especially that dual oscillator VAP engine. And while the OG Tracker was a pretty solid piece of kit as it was, we found the new one a joy to use with a redesigned jog wheel, especially alongside that generously sized screen. Oberheim surprised us all this year with the announcement of a new analog polysynth, the TEO-5. It's based on the same platform as Sequential's Take 5 synth, and much like that instrument, aims to put a recognizable sound associated with a classic instrument into a modernized and relatively affordable package. The TEO-5 shares a number of similarities with the Take 5. Both have 2 analog oscillators per voice, 2 LFOs, a 64-step sequencer and multi-mode arpeggiator, alongside a host of digital effects. But what really makes this synth an Oberheim is the classic continuously state variable SEM filter and the cross-mod functionality, which uses one of its oscillators to modulate the frequency of another. Before the show, the question on our minds was whether that classic SEM filter sounds recognizably Oberheim enough to justify the existence of a synth that's pretty similar to the Take 5. Well, it sounds pretty good to our ears, and we can definitely hear that classic Oberheim sizzle, but you can decide for yourself. UDO Super 8 is a new polysynth that sits in the middle of the British brand's product lineup between their debut product, the 12-voice Super 6, and the recently released bitimbral and 20-voice Super Gemini. Super 8 offers 16-voice polyphony when not used in its binaural mode, which reduces the number of available voices to 8. The most notable differences between the Super 8 and the Gemini are the omission of the Gemini's ribbon controller and the extra set of controls that can be used to control its second timbral layer. Aside from that, Super 8's architecture is pretty similar to UDO's other synths, with high-res FPGA-based digital oscillators joined by 2 analog filters and a binaural signal path that can be used to design some pretty wild and seriously spatial sounds. We were big fans of UDO's Super 6 and the Super Gemini, so it's no surprise that the Super 8 has impressed us once again. It sounds phenomenal. If you're someone that's drawn to UDO's unique take on synth design, but you were torn between the 2 previously existing options in their lineup, this could be the synth for you. There you have it. Those are 5 of the coolest things we saw at Superbooth this year. But with hundreds of exhibitors, there's plenty more to see, so be sure to keep an eye on MusicRadar.com for our continued coverage as the weekend rolls on.